You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Today's episode is brought to you by Fabricland, Winkler, Evolve Green, and Pure Anada. Today, I'll be joined by number 22 of the Transcona Railer Express, Connor Grunsten. And Connor joins me today to talk about his 3-year career in the MMJHL up until this point. He started off his MMJHL career back in 2018-19 with the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, where he led that team in points in the regular season with 47 points in 40 games played. And I was under the impression before this interview I did with him that he got traded to Transcona back last season, but he didn't get traded. He got released by the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, and after playing 18 games with that club, putting up 20 points, I found that to be surprising news. But obviously things didn't work out there, and man, have things worked out in Transcona for Connor. In 19 games played with the club after they picked him up in the regular season, he put up 18 goals, 8 assists for 26 points in those 19 games, and this season, well man, he was on another level. In 5 games played in the 2020-2021 season, Connor put up 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points in those 5 games that he played in. And he not only led the league in points this season, but also led the league in assists. So it was an honor to talk to Connor in today's edition of Coffee with Graeme. Number 22 of the Transcona Railers will be joining me now on this Tuesday's edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Joining me now, number 22 of the Transcona Railer Express in the MMJHL, it's Connor Grunsten. Connor, thank you so much for joining me. We're doing this interview on Monday night, the day before this interview goes out. How's it going? How have things been during these COVID times for you? Have you been keeping a positive mindset?
Yeah, pretty positive. I mean, I hadn't had much going on for the past 4 months because I got surgery on my shoulder that I found out the season was shutting down. So I've been off work for 4 months, and it was my first week back last week. So,
wow, that's not shoulder surgery. So
yeah.
were you playing the season banged up, or was
Yeah, like the past 3 years, I have been popping it out like every game. So,
man,
keep going.
Yeah. So how nice is it to know that you finally got the surgery done and you can get back to getting to that full 100%?
Yeah, it feels good. I'm excited too. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. That's great. And I mean, it seems like the shoulder didn't really phase you this season, and just throughout your whole career in the MM, it's going to be scary to see what a healthy Connor Grunsten is going to look like come the season coming up in 2021-2022. So let's start off with just talking about your rookie season in the league. You started your career with the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. You ended up leading that team in both points and goals in that season. You were 4th in assists. Just could you speak about the type of player you were in your rookie season back in 2018-19 when you were breaking into the league with the Raiders Junior Hockey Club?
I just started off like kind of just trying to throw my body around and be physical because it was my first year, so I wasn't expecting to have like power play and stuff like that. So I figured I had to switch up my game a little bit. But then as I started playing, like I scored the first game, but after I started playing for a bit, I kind of got used to it pretty quickly and then just went on from there.
Could you speak about just your game in terms of just you being that type of player that works hard in front of the net to get those goals, a player that really is able to put that puck in the net pretty consistently. Just talk about how you've been able to kind of come into your own in the league here and be an effective goal scorer in the end.
Hmm. Well, I think I use my size to a good advantage because I'd say I'm one of the more bigger players in the league. And also, like I have two sides, like not just scoring, I also have like physicality. So I've just kind of used my height and advantage, and it's often brought me goals, and that's pretty much about it.
And you spoke about how it really you got used to the league pretty quickly, and just with your size, I mean, it definitely helps when you're 6'3", 190 pounds. I'm not sure if you hit a if you've put on more weight throughout the years, but that's what you're listed at now, 6'3", 190 pounds. Can you speak about just what the most difficult thing was in the first year to get used to in your first year in the league with the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, that 2018-19 season?
I think it was just kind of like recognizing everyone else's game because I hadn't played with any of those guys, like maybe one of them since I was like 12, but I haven't played with any of those guys for a while, so it's just kind of adapting to like to who I was playing with and such, but that's about it.
Yeah, and it seems like you guys gelled pretty well together in that season. You guys finished second in the league. Just your team was a pretty defensive team as well, second least goals against in the league as well. Could you speak about just how that Raiders team was able to come together and have such a successful regular season in your first year in the league?
We had like a lot of veteran older D, and they were big also, and they knew how to play their part. So, and our goalie was really good too. He had a good season, and I don't know. I think we just kind of blew in playoffs, but that's about it.
Could you speak about how, I mean, with a team that is really good defensively, like you guys were this season, how it allowed you to grow your two-way game in that first season?
I was just kind of like I said, just I've never really been that too defensive in my life, but I've been trying to get better especially the past 2 years of Transcona. I've really evolved my game to more of two-way, but with the Raiders, it was just kind of trying to get my body in front of the way as much as I could in the defensive zone, and yeah.
You spoke about how you guys blew it in playoffs. You guys went up against a hot Stonewall Jets team who were riding a 5-game winning streak coming in. You guys ended up losing that series 4-1. Would you say that it was just one of those series where you guys came in and you just lost to a team that kind of found their game and was just rolling at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think everyone on our team was scared of Stonewall, all the big guys on their team, and
Mm, yeah.
I watched most of the series. I had like a shift of period, but
Mm.
I don't know. I just think their older guys scared our older guys, and that just like we couldn't come back from that.
Was it frustrating for you? I mean, you know that you're a rookie on the team. You know that this is an experienced team, and you know you're probably not going to get that same amount of ice time. But with you leading the team in points that season to not get many shifts in the playoffs, was that something that bothered you at the time?
Yeah, it really did because just sitting there watching my team lose and there's nothing I could do about it. And yeah, like some of the guys even came forward when we were down like 2-1 in the series, and we're kind of like speaking to the coaches saying that, oh, like we should start actually playing Connor again and stuff. And then it just never ended up coming, and we lost 4-1.
Yeah, that's crazy because even though you guys were facing off against a really hot team, you're a guy who is a rookie, who has the size, who's a guy who led the team in points and in goals, and yet you didn't get much ice time in the playoffs. It kind of baffles me, which is
Yeah.
crazy. But uh, yeah, yeah, and just looking back at your rookie season in the league with playing on a team that had a lot of success in the season with you guys, like you said, blowing it in the playoffs. Just how did you reflect on the season in terms of what you took away from your first year in the league and what you were looking to improve upon going into your second year with this Raiders Junior Hockey Club?
I was just trying to work on my speed more because it felt just like, although I was bigger, that just people were still kind of a bit faster than me and had that extra step. So like it didn't matter as much, but then as I like grew older, I found like my speed again and then just been working on that. So that helped me in my second year too.
Well, we're going to talk about your second season in the league coming up here on this edition of Coffee with Graeme, this Tuesday edition. Of course, this show sponsored by Pure Anada, Fabricland, Winkler, and Evolve Green. And we're going to hear from our first sponsor in Pure Anada coming up here. I'll be right back with Connor Grunsten, number 22 of the Transcona Railer Express, in just a moment on this edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV. Back here on this edition of Coffee with Graeme with the number 22 of the Transcona Railer Express, Connor Grunsten. And Connor didn't start off his career with Transcona. He actually got traded in his second season in the league after having a very successful rookie season with Raiders Junior Hockey Club. And we're going to move into that second season now, just talking about your first 18 games with the Raiders. You put up 20 points, 7 goals, 13 assists. And I was talking to your goalie, Dylan Arnold, the other last week on last week's Tuesday's edition of the show. We did a live version of the show, and he said that he couldn't really understand why you weren't getting the ice time with this Raiders Junior Hockey Club. That's what he said. That's what he heard. You weren't getting the ice time, and that's what kind of led to the trade. So were you kind of surprised by hearing the news that you were getting traded, knowing that you weren't getting that much ice time with the Raiders?
So like I didn't actually get traded. It was more like it's just kind of one day I got pulled into the office and they kind of told me that I was cut, sort of thing, and they didn't have room for me on the roster. So I was like, okay, I guess this is it. And then I left, and then I was trying to get a release, and they wouldn't release me, and they wouldn't trade me. And I kept texting them. I was like, you guys cut me. Like, I kind of need somewhere to play. And they would just ignore me. They wouldn't trade me and wouldn't release me or anything, so I couldn't play anywhere else. So then I had to email Hockey Manitoba and had a big thing going on. And then finally, the day I was about to get released, I got called that I got traded to River East. And I was like, I'm not going to River. So yeah, a bunch of more stuff happened. And then finally I ended up getting the release, and then I chose Transcona. So.
Wow. So my apologies for telling everyone that you got traded. I had no idea that happened. It's a big deal. Yeah. It's that's wild. That's wild. We won't get too much into it because it's I don't feel like it is the place to talk about that, but that's crazy. You get released from this team after leading the team in points the season before. You had a pretty strong start to your season in 18 games with 20 points, and for them to just release you, it's just wild. But you end up going to a team in Transcona, the Railer Express, which was a team that, you know, you come into a good situation with players that are, you know, ascending up. You have a strong rookie goaltender and Dylan Arnold on the team. You have a strong group of forwards, a strong group of defensemen. This is a very good situation for you to walk into. You come in and you produce with 18 goals, 8 assists in the games you played for that team. So you add the offense. Just how would you say that you fit into this Transcona Railer Express team so well in the season last year?
Well, I played with one of my good friends is Riley Johnson, my other line mate, and I played with him like my whole life growing up, so we kind of always have had that chemistry. And then Scorepad is also one of my other good friends who was our other line mate. So, and he just always has like a mind for the game, and it always seems like Scorepad's got eyes at the back of his head. So it was pretty easy joining them and being able to play with them quickly, and I fit in really well with them.
Yeah, and of course, Scorpad had a great season with the team that year, and Riley Johnson, a guy who you're still playing with this season, along with Matty Boonstra, but we'll get into that in just a moment. Could you speak about just head coach Derek Gagnon, just what type of head coach he was for you in that first season when you got there to Transcona?
Yeah, well, I always knew I wanted to go to Transcona. I mean, like a couple of my friends are on the team, and then Gags used to be my coach when I was a little kid for spring hockey a couple of years. So I just kind of had relations with him, and then I always knew he was a good coach when I was younger. So then when I got to Transcona, I mean, he's still that great coach, and he's even better off the ice, and he is in the dressing room. So yeah, he's the best coach I've ever had, that's for sure.
That's awesome, man. Dylan Arnold had such high praise for him, and it seems like he's the type of coach that really cares about what his players want, which is awesome. Let's talk about you. Just you led the team, the Raiders Junior Hockey Club, in points in your first season in the league. You come in, you have 18 goals in the games you played with this Transcona Railer Express team. Could you speak about yourself as a goal scorer? Just what makes you such an effective goal scorer? Of course, you play with some great line mates and Scorpad and Johnson, as you said, but it definitely has to come. Some of it has to come from you as well. So just how are you able to be such an effective goal scorer in the MMJHL?
Well, playing with the two best guys in the league, I feel like that definitely made it a bit easier. But I just think I have a better mind than I'd say most of the guys in the league, and I'm always thinking kind of one step ahead, so I know where to be, and it ends up just perfectly every time. So I think I just have a better hockey sense, and that just helped me a lot.
Could you speak about just, of course, like you said that I'm not going to give my opinion on it because I haven't really watched the league, but playing with the two best guys in the league, in your opinion, helps. But could you speak about just what was able to improve in your game in that second season when you got to Transcona? Just what kind of stood out in your game for you as you got in your second year in the league?
I just found with the two guys I was playing with, because they were super defensive as well, so they kind of formed me into more of a two-way forward by playing defense, getting in the lanes, like just playing better defensively, because if they were going to do it, I want to do it for them. So they both helped me that way, being a better defensive forward, and it just helped my game overall.
Right, and you did mention that earlier, how you, with your 2 years in Transcona so far, it really has turned you into more of that two-way player, which is great, because you got the offense now. You add that two-way part to your game. It's going to be crazy to see what happens with a fully healthy shoulder come next season, to see what you're going to be able to do. But let's continue talking about your 2019-2020 season. You guys are riding hard coming into the playoffs. You were set to match up against your former team in the first round, and the Raiders Junior Hockey Club if playoffs ended up happening. So if those playoffs ended up happening, I'm sure you would have been playing with a chip on your shoulder, just going up against a team that you felt pretty disrespected on. Just how well do you think, in your opinion, you guys would have matched up against this Raiders Junior Hockey Club, a team that finished second in the league the season before, had a lot to prove? Going up against you guys, they were riding in hot, and you guys were also riding in hot as well.
Yeah, they had a good end to the season, and I mean, I feel like our team was easily the best in the second half. I mean, we're on a 20-game win streak or something like that at some point, and I think our matchup with the Raiders would have been good, but I think definitely we would have the upper hand. Our goaltending is better, defense and forwards are better, so, and we have lots more experience with even our younger guys versus their younger guys. Our guys love to throw the body. The Raiders are a little bit scared and timid, so I think we would did good in that one.
You talked about a 20-game win streak at some point in the season last year. It just speaks to how consistent of a team this is, to how strong of a team this is. Could you speak about what, in your opinion, stood out the most about why this Transcona Railer Express team, in your opinion, was, arguably the best team in the MMJHL last season?
I think you can just tell that everyone wants it more than everyone else. And you see even guys who are smaller on the team are still throwing their body out there. They don't care if they're the ones getting ran over as long as they're kind of in the lane. And it just seems like they love it. They love the game more than everyone else. And yeah, they just always push each other. Everyone's always there early. They make sure they're there. They're always listening to Gags because he's always got the best input. And I just think everyone buys it on Transcona, makes a good team.
For you guys, with the season shutting down, for you guys not being able to go out in the playoffs and prove that you were the best team in the league, in your opinion, just it sucks that wasn't able to happen. But you talked about how you focused on getting faster heading into your second season in the league. So what was the mindset heading into your third season, come when you went into your off season last season?
I was super comfortable with Transcona, and I knew that I just had it good there and I was getting the right ice time. So I didn't really need to evolve my game, it felt like. And I felt like I already had all the tools since I learned most of it from last year, from Scorepad being the leader on the team. So he kind of taught me a few things and got me to fully evolve my game. So I didn't do too much in the off season to get better for this year. It just kind of worked out well.
Well, it really did seem like it did work out well, and we're going to talk about your season this year in just a moment, coming up on this edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. You heard from Pierre and Anada in our first commercial break. You're going to hear from another sponsor in Fabricland Winkler coming up here. I'll be right back with the MMJHL's leading point getter this season, number 22 of the Transcona Railer Express, Connor Grunsten, in just a moment here on this edition of the show of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Welcome back to this edition of Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. I've been joined by the MMJHL's leading point getter this season, number 22, Connor Grunsten. And Connor, building off of the success he built up with the team back in 2019-2020, where he had 18 goals, 8 assists in the games he played after being released from the Raiders Junior Hockey Club. Just learning this tonight in this interview, which is crazy just because of the production he put up in his first season. But, he's been proving his former club wrong, especially this season, putting up the most points in the league, 5 games played, 14 points, 5 goals, and 9 assists. So for you, Connor, just for you to be able to step up with guys like Scorepad and, Hillis aging out this season, for you to come into a more of a leadership role this season. You got some games on your belt, a lot of games on your belt with the team from the 2019-2020 season. I feel like you were building off of that experience coming into this year. Just how do you think you were able to take your game to the next level this season with this Railer Express club?
Well, we came into camp and everyone was just willing to go extra hard this year and kind of put in the extra effort because we got shorted out last year. We thought we had a good chance to win it. So, and then we had one spot to fill for our line because Scorepad was aged out, obviously. So then we had Matty Boonstra, who was a defenseman originally, but he's super skilled. So the Gags asked if I wanted to try him on our line. And I said, yeah, for sure. And then he just fit right in. So he gave a lot of our success too, because he's got super hard shot and he's super fast and super accurate with it, and also has a good mind. So he brought lots of success for our line as well, and it was a good call by Gags.
Yeah, and Dylan Arnold spoke Dylan Arnold spoke about it, and he said that was a surprise for him, but a great move by your head coach. Just you spoke about it, how you already spoke about how you guys felt, you guys fit in so well this season. You think like it makes it easier being able to play like with a guy like Matty Boonstra and a guy like Riley Johnson when all three of you guys are just so gifted with the mind out there in terms of just knowing where to be out there on the ice and finding the open ice to making it easier for your teammates to find you guys.
Yeah, I mean they've got a good mind for the game, so it definitely makes it a lot easier because I always know where they're going to be one step ahead before they're there, and they do the same. So it's a lot easier playing with them out there versus maybe someone else. Kind of my first year didn't have the luxury of playing with guys like that, kind of fourth line minutes, but now that I'm with these guys, I really like it, so we fit in well together.
Could you speak about how in these 5 games this season, 5 regular season games, that your two-way game, in terms of if it improved or not more from last season to this season, because you spoke about how playing with the guys you played with last year and scored Pat and Johnson, it improved a lot. Would you say that improved even more this season?
I would say so, yeah, because I mean, Scorpio leaving, he was a big defensive role on our line, so I feel like I had to step up and kind of carry that a little bit too. So I would push myself more in the defensive zone this year, and I felt like I can't even remember if I was even on for a goal against if our line even got scored on once, but yeah.
Could you talk about yourself as a possession player out there? Because when you don't get many goals, like you said, and not any goals scored when you're on the ice, of course, from what you can remember. But it seems like you got to have good possession out there. Could you talk about how your line and yourself possessed the puck so well this season, just keeping it away from the defenseman and just creating uh, good scoring opportunities for your team?
Well, I feel like it always starts off with my linemate, Riley Johnson. He's probably the fastest guy in the league, if not top 3 for sure. So he kind of always brings it up from down low and is able to just blow around everyone. And then it's kind of as soon as he gets into the zone, he kind of just gives it to me. And then I either toy around with it a little bit, or as soon as I give it to Boonstra, he just has such a lethal shot that he'll just rip it and he'll go in almost every time. So we kind of have our own roles on our line, and it all fits in perfect. So.
Could you talk about how this group, of course, you guys have, a pretty experienced group this season. Could you talk about how this group was able to, come together after the type of season, the type of ending to your season that you had last year to come together and rattle off 5 wins in the regular season? Of course, you said you guys were coming in hungry in the camp. Would you say that was the biggest reason why you're so successful, was just that hunger, that will and determination?
Yeah, I think everyone was just pretty upset still about how this the year ended. The year before that, how we felt we would have been able to pull it off, and I think everyone was just super hungry this year and really wanted it. So that gave us the extra push, and we really lit it up at the start of the year because we all wanted it so bad.
Could you speak about yourself as well as your teammates on the power play? Of course, this was the best power play in the league this season. And Dylan talked about it, how, he said that your guys' ice awareness is a huge thing to why you guys are so successful. Could you speak about just how you guys were able to be so lethal on the power play this year, connecting at like 36.4% or something like that?
Mm-hmm. I just lots of guys on our power play are they're so good with threading the needle with the puck and kind of throwing them off. Like Boonstra and Riley and me and myself as well. Like we kind of don't even really look at each other when we pass the puck. We kind of just feel we're there and just pass it right to them, and it always ends up working out. So we just got the hockey sense and the eyes at the back of our head, and that really helps us on the power play.
Yeah, for sure. And when you're not even, you don't even have to look at the guy, and you're able to hit it, put it on his stick, on his tape.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely creates another element out there where it's like, man, these guys don't even need to look at where they're passing to hit their targets, which is crazy. For you this season, coming in, what would you say that you talked about how you've been having issues with your shoulders throughout the years, since you've come into the league? Would you say that the shoulder was an issue coming into this season at all?
This season, I don't think it really dislocated once this year. Actually, maybe one time, yeah. I mean, it always happens if I get into like a fight or something, just like holding on, or like even if I hit someone a little too hard. But yeah, against St. B, I made like a really big hit, and then instantly everyone was coming at me, and I just kind of grabbed onto two people, and then it just popped my shoulder out, and then I was out for like maybe 30 seconds on the bench, and then went out the next shift because I can kind of pop it back in myself. So yeah. So used to it.
That's crazy. That's nuts, and it's great to know that you're finally gonna have that shoulder at 100%. Have you had a chance to? You spoke about it earlier in the show, how you've had a chance to finally get back at it, get back to work and stuff like that. In terms of, I forget, have you been like hitting the gym and stuff as of late?
I've been working out as well, and I've gone on the ice just for a couple of like skates with one of my buddies rents ice, so we go on maybe once a week, and then I've been hitting the gym after work every day. So.
And how has it been? What have been the things that you've been working on the most in the gym?
I've just kind of been doing like my physiotherapist gave me exercises just with like all based on my shoulder. Yeah. So for right now, I'm just trying to get the shoulder strong because it's pretty skinny compared to the other ones. So I'm just trying to get that fully 100%, should be in like a month or so, and then I could fully train again.
And how has it been for you being able to get back on the ice? Has it been just getting the wind back, stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely out of breath every time I go, but still feels pretty much the same otherwise. But I mean, yeah, it's not bad.
At this point in your career, how would you describe yourself as a player? It seems like you're a player that can put that puck in the back of the net. You've showcased your playmaking ability as well this season with leading the league in assists. It seems like your two-way game is the best it's ever been, like you've said. How would you describe yourself as a player at this point in your MMJHL career?
I've worked on my defense a lot, but I wouldn't say that's one of my strong suits. But I would say like I'm a physical, offensive-minded player. I'm really lethal in the offensive zone, and the defensive zone still could use a little bit of work, but it's getting there. And then I love to be physical as well since I started playing. So.
Could you talk about yourself as a centerman in terms of just you winning draws out there in both the defensive zone and the offensive zone?
I actually only went center for one game, and Riley Johnson was the center for the year, so don't really have too much on that.
Yeah. So how's your game with you just coming down that wall in terms of both the offensive zone and the defensive zone as well, in terms of you just I guess in the defensive zone, let's go with that. In terms of you in the defensive zone, just being able to be that reliable player of getting on that wall and being a good outlet for your teammates out there in terms of just breaking out.
I always just try to plant on the wall, and then as soon as, because everyone's always expecting you kind of chip it up or just turn around and start going straight. So I always kind of would just slam on the brakes and take a step back towards our zone, and then just kind of pivot in both Boonstra will either be high and up flying, or Riley would be in the middle flying. And as soon as I pass to them, they just got so much speed that they enter the zone so easily. So.
And last question for you here, Connor, just with this team having a lot of potential, with a lot of guys come back into next season, just what is the expectation for you for this team heading into your final MMJHL season?
I mean, we only lose one player, our captain, who also plays a big role, but I mean, one player is not bad compared to the other teams. So I think we should have a good season, and our lines should be all on top leaderboards. So I think we'll have a good season. Hopefully we'll be able to pull it off, and hopefully the season will keep going. So.
Yeah, and I think that's what we all hope, is to actually see leagues play out to its fullest potential. And it would be awesome to see you guys be able to have a full season, especially with the type of roster that you guys have built up, and with the potential that you guys have to go out there and make a run. Connor, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's been awesome talking to you. And hopefully the next time I talk to you, you'll be playing in game action in the midst of it. And hopefully things are back to normal the next time I potentially talk to you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciated it.
Of course, Connor. That was Connor Grunsten, number 22 of the Transcona Railer Express. I'm going to throw it to one more commercial break here on the show. We'll all be back to just give you guys some final words in today's edition of Coffee with Graeme here on ASTV Productions.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance, quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Coffee with Graeme on ASTV Productions. Before I end today's episode, I just want to give a special shout out to Connor Grunsten for hopping on today's show. Thank you, Connor, for joining me today and being the guest. It was awesome getting to talk to you. I want to give a special thanks to you, the viewer, for tuning in to today's edition of the show, and also a special thanks to our sponsors in Anada, Fabricland, Winkler, and Evolve Green for sponsoring today's episode. I'll be back on the network at 10 a.m. Central Time on Thursday for another edition of Coffee with Graeme's MFHL season coverage. You can catch that episode once again at 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time here on ASTV Productions on Facebook or on our website at astvproductions.com. But until then, folks, until Thursday, I've been your host of Coffee with Graeme, Graeme Forsyth, signing off now. Enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe out there until Thursday. I'll see you then.